For more than 30 years, nothing of consequence happened in this Capitol without Lindsey Graham knowing about it. Nothing of significance happened anywhere in the world without Lindsey Graham having a view on it. And no bill became law in the most exceptional republic in human history without Lindsey Graham having a say in it.
So the bottom line is, I want every American citizen to know you have constitutional rights, but you do not have a constitutional right to collaborate with the enemy. There's a body of law well developed long before 9/11 that understood the difference between basic criminal law and the law of armed conflict. Do you understand those differences?
I do understand that there are different bodies of law, of course, Senator.
Well, the funeral for Lindsey Graham, 17 days after he passed, will be touched on today. Was he a traitor or did he support this country? We're going to look at that. The SAVE Act battle is picking up pace. The DNI moves are phenomenal. Fauci reminders will be presented and a message sent for all to see. From the good guys, we'll look at that. 514,000 followers on Rumble. Thank you for showing support by hitting the follow button there. And also, we were number 2 on the leaderboard right next to the Bongino Show. We really appreciate you guys hitting that like button and putting comments below.
Our new And We Know bracelets connect you with scripture with just the tap of your phone. Simply tap your phone to the bracelet, click the pop-up, and there's a new verse every time. If you're feeling anxious, need to pray, or just want to see what God has for you in the moment, you can tap for a verse and pray over that situation. Now available online.
Now available online at our new website, andweknow.com. We hope you go check it out. A lot of good things there. Great resources. You can click on that Patriot Showcase, get involved, and you will see all the pictures of those sending in pictures of your gear. We'll be able to show those as they come in.
For more than 30 years, nothing of consequence happened in this Capitol without Lindsey Graham knowing about it. Nothing of significance happened anywhere in the world without Lindsey Graham having a view on it. And no bill became law in the most exceptional republic in human history without Lindsey Graham having a say in it. He was a man who gave America the full measure of his good and mighty heart until that heart itself just gave out. But even though Lindsey's life was cut short while he was still so full of vim and vigor, there can be no doubt that he lived absolutely to the fullest. He died doing the work he was born to do. He was truly a great politician, serving the country he loved to serve so deeply. He went out at the peak of his career and the top of his game as a legend that everyone of us, many of us here today, blessed to know him, and a friend that none of us will ever forget. There was truly nobody like Lindsey Graham.
Interesting set of remarks coming from President Trump. Wanted to show this to you also if you're looking at your screen. President Trump, after delivering remarks, walking up to the casket, patting the casket 2 times as if he's given a farewell to Lindsey Graham. Now, very interesting. We're going to go through some of this. There's been a lot of talk throughout X, and people frustrated because some say, well, the funeral showed, or excuse me, his flag seemed like it wasn't wrinkled. It was wrinkled, and people are getting hung up on that quite a bit. They're showing pictures of McCain. His is wrinkled really bad, and then Graham's appears that it's not wrinkled hardly at all. Other pictures show that maybe it had a few wrinkles here and there, but if you know anything about flags and how they have to fold those up and unfold them and more, Getting out every single wrinkle perfectly can be nearly impossible. So instead of getting the wrinkles too much, let's just look at some of the evidence given to us in different ways. The White House put this out. Scripture tells us, "Blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life." And I believe this was a quote from President Trump. Yes. For 71 years, Lindsey Graham was strong and steadfast as a brother, a senator, a warrior, a patriot. He withstood every last test and every trial. And now he wears the crown of life in heaven, reunited with his parents and reunited with his Lord, President Donald J. Trump. Periwinkle put this out. They say he was doing a lot of good things for America behind the scenes. Trump would know. Trump would know. Now, Rattle Trap, 1776 Nation. Everything looks regulation for Senator Lindsey Graham. The flag will have a few natural crinkles due to being undone to drape naturally. The part that with the crinkles is the part that's wrapped when in movement. Safe to say that the senator was not a traitor, according to Rattletrap, and this is also a great lesson for all to wait before any judgments of character, especially when military are present. Regulations and customs prove all. Hot Rod put this out. Lindsey Graham died 17 days before the funeral. Lindsey Graham's U.S. flag has regular wrinkles on it. Look at No Name's flag wrinkles compared to today's flag wrinkles. Before Lindsey became a senator, he was a military officer in the Judge Advocate General office. Lindsey Graham, according to Hot Rod, is a white hat playing a gray hat. And then you look at the funeral proceedings, and you've got that on his particular event marker, Lindsey Olin Graham, and it has that Order of the Holy Sepulchre, 1099 to present. And then you get the Knights Templar for all to see. And it was held at the Cathedral Church of St. Peter and St. Paul. And interesting because we believe that he was a Southern Baptist, so it's just an interesting choice for that one. Maybe it's more for security, who knows. The other interesting thing for all of this is True Stormy Joe. POTUS, the president, started his remarks at 2:24. Amazing how they time everything just right. Because when you look at Q224, it says, "Who knows where the bodies are buried? The map is in front of you." Reread. Expand your thinking. Purpose for time being spent here. Now let's listen to the remarks of the vice president who happened to be sitting right next to President Trump. Very interesting visuals to behold.
I choose to remember Lindsey Graham as a man who could disagree with you without being disagreeable. I choose to remember Lindsey Graham as a person who could fight with you on one issue, but fight for you on another issue. I remember Lindsey Graham as a man who loved people. And because he loved people, he was willing to reason with them, to respect them, and ultimately to persuade them.
Interesting set of words. That was taken from Il Donato Trumpo. He said, beautiful, and that would be the burner account for President Trump. Paul Florent says, trying to tell y'all. August the 17th showing us Lindsey Graham's casket flag impeccable. Now we know. Well, more than meets the eye. Died on 7/11, Washington Culper ring nod. Died 17 days before the funeral. Constantly endorsed by President Trump. You guys remember that? We were always baffled by it. Constantly golfed with President Trump. Served in the military. Was JAG. Very possible that he was the one who rolled on McCain, right? He was the one that ensured that the evidence that was brought forward showed how McCain had the power and probably manipulated and made, who knows, maybe had a lot to do with why Lindsey Graham had to do what he did in front of so many people. Was only worth $1.1 million after 30 years in government. Wasn't that on the take? Flag over the coffin was near impeccable. We don't know what we don't know, but my mind, my kind remains open. I believe that would be mind. August the 17th, according to Q, we can now see that Graham was fine. He played his role perfectly. This is also visible now. You don't name a military base after a traitor, not under President Trump at least, because the Department of Defense has initiated steps to officially rename Joint Base Charleston in South Carolina to Joint Base Lindsey Graham. The decision was formalized via an internal memo signed by Air Force Secretary Troy Mike. It was publicly announced by White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt. On Q Board 3612, released November 20th, 2019. Chairman Graham, it's time. Senate was the target. Drop 2583, Think Graham, Kavanaugh exchange. We've played this before. For those that missed it, we're going to play this for a few minutes again as a reminder for Lindsey Graham.
Talk about the law in war. Is there a body of law called the law of armed conflict?
There is such a body, Senator.
Is there a body of law that's called basic criminal law?
Yes, Senator.
Are there differences between those two bodies of law?
Yes, Senator.
From an American citizen's point of view, do your constitutional rights follow you? If you're in Paris, does the Fourth Amendment protect you as an American from your own government?
From your own government, yes.
Okay. So if you're in Afghanistan, do your constitutional rights protect you against your own government?
If you're an American in Afghanistan, you have constitutional rights as against the U.S. government.
Is there a long-standing...
That's long settled law.
Isn't there also a long-settled law that it goes back to the Eisenstrater case? I can't remember the name of it.
Yeah, Johnson versus Eisentrager.
Right. That American citizens who collaborate with the enemy have considered enemy combatants.
They can be. They can be. They're sometimes criminally prosecuted, sometimes treated in the military.
Well, let's talk about can be. I think
under Supreme Court precedent.
Right. There's a Supreme Court decision that said that American citizens who collaborated with Nazi saboteurs were tried by the military. Is that correct?
That is correct.
I think a couple of them were executed.
Yeah.
So if anybody doubts, there's a long-standing history in this country that your constitutional rights follow you wherever you go, but you don't have a constitutional right to turn on your own government and collaborate with the enemy of the nation. You'll be treated differently. What's the name of the case, if you can recall, that reaffirmed the concept that you could hold one of our own as an enemy combatant if they were engaged in terrorist activities in Afghanistan? Are you familiar with that case?
Yeah, Hamdi.
Okay. So the bottom line is, I want every American citizen to know you have constitutional rights, but you do not have a constitutional right to collaborate with the enemy. There's a body of law well developed long before 9/11 that understood the difference between basic criminal law and the law of armed conflict. Do you understand those differences?
I do understand that they're different bodies of law, of course, Senator.
Okay.
Good reminder for all of us. We're going to move into what's happening across the board. Stephen Miller going after those that are trying to take over the Democrat Party, the socialists, the communists. The Save America Act, John Thune and his excuses, and they're not going to work. We're going to catch on. Folks, many of us want our furry best friends to thrive. At LTPetClub247.com are all natural, USA-made supplements and treats packed with immune-boosting Coriolis versicolor mushrooms. Shed antler power, transform your pet's health. And guess what? They're so pure, they're great for humans too.
Have been suffering from ulcerative colitis my whole life. I started dosing it very, very hard, like 4 60-milligram tablets 4 times a day. To make a long story short, within about 3 weeks, I stopped bleeding.
From biscuits supporting bones, joints, and organs to mushroom blends for wellness, We've got pets and people covered. Plus, we donate profits to animal rescues like the Beagle Freedom Project. Shop affordable, natural solutions. Head to ltpetclub247.com now for vitality for you and your pet. LT Pet Club 247, health for all, 24/7. Get yours in the description box below today.
Exactly. They are communists. They call themselves the Democrat Socialists. They believe in total state control of capital. So this is a philosophy. This is an ideology. It starts with coercion, and it ends always in violent, repressive bloodshed. So it's not just a question of we disagree with them, we have a different point of view. The very survival of freedom, liberty, humanity, your family, your children, your future depends on ensuring that we do not allow communism to take hold in America. And that's why President Trump has courageously and necessarily framed this upcoming election around keeping communists out of power. Because if they gain power, then you, the American people, will lose everything.
You sure will. If you look at the New York Post, you'll notice this. Mamdani publishes names and addresses of all New York City property owners who could be hit with a new pied-à-terre tax. I guess that's how you say it. And New York Post was all over it and said P-I-E-D, a terror. Mamdani puts people in danger by posting a rich to be taxed list publicly. James Wood said this isn't just the doxing of private citizens, an odorous act in itself, but an implicit hit list for the left-wing crazies to use in cherry-picking their victims. Some blue-haired, mentally ill man in a tutu will have a field day for sure. Now, to all Republican senators, says Gaia Gallups, the nation is watching. If you dare go on August recess, primary. If you dare gavel in a pro forma session, primary. Stop sabotaging Trump and the people's agenda. We, the people, have had enough. Here's John Thune.
Well, and I think probably the best path to success is through budget reconciliation. And we can't do everything in budget reconciliation, but we can do parts of it. The one thing about the talking filibuster, and it hasn't been used in something like 100 years. People point to the Civil Rights Act of 1964, but that actually was done under regular order. They invoked cloture, passed it that way. But you turn control of the floor over to the Democrats. It's not only unlimited debate, it's unlimited amendments. And the Democrats will have a long list of amendments. And so every time they get an amendment, get it considered, gets disposed of, the clock resets. Every Democrat can give 2 hours of speeches, so that's 47, or times 2, 94 hours of speeches. And then every time you have a vote on an amendment, you go back, start all over again. So the Democrats, this is something that they're salivating over the opportunity to have, is a talking filibuster. So that isn't the best path in my view. And frankly, I don't think we probably have the votes in the Senate among Republicans even to get on a talking filibuster. But I do think we have a possibility through budget reconciliation to get some of this done.
If you could go either way, are you as leader, are you trying to work with the rest of the Senate to get it done?
We are, and I think, we've had it up now. It was a pending business in the Senate for over 2 weeks, late February, early March. We had 5 votes on it. We voted on photo ID. We voted on photo ID and citizenship to register. We voted on the entire SAVE Act 2 different times, and we also voted on no boys and girls sport. So we've had 5 votes, portions of or all of the Save America Act. The problem we have is we have no Democrats. The Democrats block voted against it, in spite of the fact that there are at least a dozen Democrats, and I have the quotes, who have come out publicly and said they're for photo ID, but when they actually got a chance to put up or shut up on the floor of the Senate, they all voted no.
Let's talk.
Interesting. Let's go into, he's just blaming the Democrats for that. What else does he got?
Get there.
Getting rid of the filibuster non-starter, you don't have the votes?
Well, we don't, and I've actually I've had this conversation with the president many times, I think, as you know, and I actually suggested at one point that his team come up and sit down and visit with some of my colleagues. So they came up, met with about 20 Republican senators, and 15 were no on getting rid of the filibuster.
So 15 of the colleagues. And so first he was talking about Democrats. Oh, they don't have the votes there. What about the Republicans? Say that again.
20 Republican senators and 15 were no on getting rid of the filibuster. The votes aren't there to do it. I know he thinks he can persuade people, but there are a lot of folks who are this is a hard position for a lot of Senate Republicans.
All right.
Hard position for Republicans. Easy for Democrats. But again, here we are. They're acting like fools. John Cornyn complaining. He got caught with a mic. CNN.
I don't understand the rationale. I think it's basically we're over-promising and we're not going to be able to deliver on that promise because we don't have the votes to pass it, no matter how long we stay, and we're not going to change the filibuster. So, but somehow the president's convinced that if he presses hard enough, that we'll come around. And but I just don't think that's likely to happen.
Is he putting Thune in an impossible position here?
Well, I think, I wouldn't say impossible. They'll figure it out, but it's a very difficult position.
Cornyn, the Muslim agitator, the one who allows them all into Texas so that they can destroy this country. Paid off in so many ways. And a lot of folks didn't realize that, right? We probably, if we didn't have President Trump, would have thought, oh, he's just a Texas guy. Everything's just great, wonderful. Nope, he's been exposed among many others. And a lot of folks have had enough. We had this post then come out from, thank you, 7TQ The Storm, for putting the graphics together on this. John Cornyn's complaining, but you know what? There are folks that are going to fight.
There are those who have responded to that today by saying, and this one is crazy, that somehow this is demoralizing to the Republican base for us to be suggesting that maybe, just maybe, we ought not take that recess, and maybe, just maybe, we ought to vote on whether we ought to take that recess. How on earth is that demoralizing to the Republican base? On what planet is that demoralizing to the Republican base? And if that's now the standard, that we all just have to agree anytime there's a planned recess that we're going to take it, and that anyone who suggests that we even have a vote on that is wrong, that is crazy. Look, the fact is we work for the American people. The American people overwhelmingly support and want us to pass the Save America Act. We darn well better do everything we can to get that done. So let's do it. I hope and expect more senators will join the cause.
And so what do we have here so far? The roster now. 10 Republican senators calling to skip the August recess to pass the Save America Act. Mike Lee, Rick Scott, Tommy Tuberville, Jim Banks, Ashley Moody, Darlene Graham, Bill Hagerty, Katie Britt, Todd Young, and Marsha Blackburn. There could be more as of this recording, and we certainly hope that there's moves forward for all of this. Now, I wanted to show you this statement, I believe, here for all to hear from Ashley Moody. Here we go.
And stay tuned.
Time and time and time and time again that could never happen and does not happen. Oh my goodness, it's happening. Surprise, surprise. And they'll still come here to the floor and object to voter ID after blaming thousands of individuals on the voter rolls as a software error. We also have to make sure that we are mindful of the fact that the Democratic Socialists of America have just said in their platform they want non-citizens voting. Obvious for anyone that's watching, not only here within the Senate, but at home, which party is asking their colleagues to require voter ID and banning the purchasing of stocks while in office. What could be the reason? We have to fiercely safeguard our democracy, ensuring that only Americans are allowed to participate in American elections. As if in legislative session and notwithstanding Rule 22, I ask unanimous consent that the Senate proceed to the immediate consideration of H.R. 7008, which was received from the House. Further, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table.
Big win in the courts from D.C. Circuit affirming President Trump's efforts to keep our elections safe and fair. No mass mailings of unverified mail-in ballots. New U.S. Postal Office support USPS rule back in effect. Also, in a huge win, the Board of Immigration Appeals just ruled that even legal migrants can be deported if they're caught illegally voting and are non-citizens. DHS General Counsel, even for aliens here legally, illegal voting makes you deportable. We will continue to prioritize deportation proceedings against those who illegally vote in American elections. McLaughlin poll, Save America Act support, July 15th through 21st, 2026, 1,000 general election voters. Only U.S. citizens should vote in federal elections, 82%. Require proof of citizenship to register, 78%. Require voter ID, 78%.
Take a look at this. Okay, the Democratic Party net favorability. Back in 2018, when Democrats were able to take control of the House, they were actually on the plus side of the ledger. They were actually in positive territory at plus 1 point. Look now in 2026. We're not just talking down there underneath the Potomac. We're talking down there with the Titanic. We're talking 24 points underwater. And this is just the party overall. This isn't the congressional leadership. This is the party. The party. It's just a terrible, terrible, terrible brand. Terrible. I want to almost get my Charles Barkley. Terrible, terrible. I can't even do a Charles Barkley. But the bottom line is it's absolutely terrible.
I just love this guy. I really believe the White Hats put him in there and he's just having a blast. Why would CNN even have him there? He makes Republicans look so good. Anyway, President Trump showed us this. Software vendor disputes New Jersey governor's glitch claim, says state approves foreigners on voter roll. President Trump said she only went public because she was caught. Software vendor disputes this New Jersey governor's glitch claim, of course, and now the world will see it. Mila Joy put this out. Chelsea Clinton received $84 million from USAID. George Soros received $260 million from USAID. Thousands of North Carolinians spent 2 winters ago living in tents while it snowed on them. They got $750. Democrats are perfectly fine with all of this, and I think that's another reason they're falling apart, or areas like that. Now, Mike Davis. After their Russian collusion and impeachment hoaxes failed, Democrats knew they had to destroy Trump's thriving economy and commit mass voter fraud through all mail ballots so they could rig and steal the 2020 election. So we got COVID, mass hysteria, and lockdowns. Then the Black Lives Matter riots. Then blatant voter fraud. Then J6. Then another impeachment hoax. Then Biden lawfare during campaign. Then Democrat judicial sabotage during second term. It's all starting to come out. And also, the Senate confirmed Jay Clayton as Trump's Director of National Intelligence, 51-47. He steps in right after Bill Pulte already fired nearly 30% of the DNI workforce. Clayton's previous job, hunting leakers with zero mercy. That mission just got a massive upgrade. This is how you got the deep state from the inside. No more protected traders, no more free passes. Thank you, Q the Storm, for that reminder.
30% of the workforce of the intelligence office in the last few weeks. Posting online, the intelligence community must protect the American people, not the political whims of the bloated and corrupt elite class. Now, both critics and some advocates, Brett, admit that Pulte, who runs the Federal Housing Finance Agency, has no national security experience. Still, Democrats aren't thrilled by Jay Clayton either. The Senate Intelligence Committee's top Democrat, Senator Mark Warner of Virginia, pressed Clayton on the fact that he was not aware about the specifics of an FBI raid on the Fulton County Board of Elections earlier this year in Atlanta, where then DNI Tulsi Gabbard was present. Democrats say the Director of National Intelligence should not be involved in a domestic law enforcement action.
Even if you weren't aware, in preparation for this hearing, I would have thought, hey, we got to be ready for the Gabbard question.
Why would Fox News put a Democrat there, Mark Warren? Why did they even give him time? All right, let's play Jay Clayton.
Look, I don't want to.
it just wasn't something that was on my mind before the preparation for this hearing.
Mr. Clayton was recently the U.S. Attorney for the Southern District of New York during Trump.
Why show that clip? Come on, Fox. Can't you do better than that? Let's just show question coming from a Democrat and show his answer where he says, I wasn't prepared. You see that? That's where I really get ticked off again with Fox News. So many people, conservatives, right, watch this and they say, oh, Fox is so great. And you show them little clips like this and you realize, guys, wake up to what they're giving you. I know there's a lot of good people there probably, and they're putting out some great information, but man, be careful of some of these psyops that they try to run. What in the world is going on? Whoever's running that place needs to be put away for good. Just tired of it. All right. Enough of that. We're going to be getting into Fauci, some reminders of Kary Mullis, who invented the PCR test and really put out the goods on who Fauci really is. Some reminders since he's going to be grilled today on what he did to this country and how a lot of people didn't fall for it, and more on his diaries that were released. Stick around. Are you tired of tap water loaded with toxins like lead, arsenic, and chlorine? That hidden danger building up in your pipes, your showers, your family's health? What if every drop could be pure, mineral-rich, and delicious instead? Introducing the AQ Whole House Water Filtration System from Century H2O. The revolutionary two-stage powerhouse neutralizes hard and soft scale, no salt needed, while stripping away over a dozen nasty contaminants, fluoride, pesticides, bacteria, even pharmaceuticals. Custom options for city or well water, including iron and nitrates removal. For homes up to 2,500 square feet, it delivers alkaline, calcium-enriched water. Every faucet can get it. Say goodbye to dry skin and dull hair. Century H2O's shower water filter hydrates like a spa day. Their compact under-sink wellness system, well, it's a 5-stage filtration in zero-waste design, boosts pH, adds magnesium, installs in 15 minutes, no plumber required. Thousands of families transforming their water. So folks, shop the AQ Revolution at centuryh2o.com/AQ in the description box below. Please use that code AWK for 10% off, and that if you're starting a New Year's health journey, toxin-free water can help with weight loss and overall health as well. We interviewed Nelson last month. See the full interview in the link below to learn more. Here's Kary Mullis.
You know, lives have just been totally ruined by this thing.
The inventor of the PCR test called out Anthony Fauci a fraud.
On the basis of some flimsy little statement made by a guy who's known to be a crook in lots of other ways. He lied about a whole lot of other stuff. Why we trust him there? If he was a witness in a courtroom, we wouldn't trust his testimony. We've caught him in too many lies. We don't trust him anymore. We don't trust Gallup. We don't trust him. Nobody should trust Gallup. Gallup's been caught too many times making up stuff. Okay, who we trust? Fauci. Fauci doesn't know enough to know. If Fauci wants to get on television with somebody who knows a little bit about this stuff and debate him, he could easily do it because he's been asked. I mean, I've had a lot of people, president of the University of South Carolina asked Fauci if he'd come down there and debate me on the stage in front of the student body because I wanted somebody who was from the other side to come down there and balance because I felt like, well, these guys can listen to me, but I need to have somebody else down here that's going to tell me the other side. But Fauci didn't want to do it. He didn't want to talk about it.
Based upon the HIV equals AIDS hypothesis, they didn't give us the test. Now,
they didn't give it to us, they sold it to us.
Yeah, who sold it to us? Who gets money off the
Bob Gallo himself was getting quite a bit off of it. He had to give a lot back to Montagnier when it was finally proven that he stole the virus from Montagnier in the first place.
So he goes on, continued to expose Fauci, this interview, and all the things that were going on behind the scenes. And wouldn't you know, remember he passed away mysteriously in 2019, right before they went into COVID. Because they needed that PCR test and they were going to manipulate it, right? Magnify it 20 to 30 times so that just about everybody would be positive. All planned. Obama and Fauci knew there would be a pandemic. It's from the skiff. They knew the destruction that was coming because they were key players involved in its funding and creation.
pandemic or an epidemic of this proportion?
5 years, 3 months, and 17 days earlier. This is earlier. Okay? 5 years, 3 months, 17 days earlier.
There may and likely will come a time in which we have both an airborne disease that is deadly. And in order for us to deal with that effectively, we have to put in place an infrastructure, not just here at home, but globally, that allows us to see it quickly, isolate it quickly, respond to it quickly. So that if and when a new strain of flu, like the Spanish flu, crops up 5 years from now or a decade from now, we've made the investment.
5 years
and we're
from now,
further along to be able to catch it. It is a smart investment for us to make. It's not just insurance, it is knowing that down the road we're going to continue to have problems like this, particularly in a globalized world.
And if there's one message that I want to leave with you today, based on my experience, and you'll see that in a moment, is that there is no question that there will be a challenge to the coming administration in the arena of infectious diseases, both chronic infectious diseases in the sense of already ongoing disease, and we have certainly a large burden of that, but also there will be a surprise outbreak. And I hope by the end of my relatively short presentation, you will understand why history, the history of the last 32 years that I've been the director of NIAID, will tell the next administration that there's no doubt in anyone's mind that they will be faced with the challenges that their predecessors were faced with.
The Biden administration, Dr. Fauci, we already have millions of kids around the country who have gotten vaccinated, which means that if you're still thinking about it, get informed, talk to somebody you trust, your family doctor, your pediatrician, a school nurse, get more information about it. They'll tell you it's safe, it's effective. This vaccine is tailored for kids, and then come on down and find a spot to get vaccinated.
Find a spot to put poison in your body. And we've watched through the years, I don't have to go over it over again, but I tell you what, many have lost lives because of that. Many have continued to deal with physical problems and more. Listen to what Fauci was saying back in the day against those that would stand up against him.
What are we going to do about those other states?
Oh my God. They're going to keep the outbreak smoldering in the country. It's so crazy. I mean, they're not doing it because they say they don't want to do it. They're Republicans. They don't like to be told what to do.
Right.
And we got to break that,
We got to break that. Republicans, they don't like to be told what to do. We got to break that. Well, they had somebody who was probably not a Republican. I think he was just common sense, but who knows? But I'll never forget this guy, this brave American.
The people in America are not settled with the information that's been given to us right now.
Now, for those listening and not watching, this is when old Fauci was walking in the streets. I think it was Mayor Bowser in D.C., and they're trying to get people to, go, think about getting that vaccine. And he ended up calling Fauci out to his face.
You're not going to be lining up taking a shot or a vaccination for something that wasn't clear in the first place. And then you all create a shot in miraculous time. It takes years to create vaccination.
Well, it used to take years.
Okay, it used to.
You know how many years were invested in this approach? About 20 years of science to get us to be able to do it.
20 years is not enough. And 9 months is definitely not enough for nobody to be taking no vaccination that you all came up with.
The only reason I'm talking to you right now, as close as we are, is that I've been vaccinated.
Right.
But if it allows thousands of people like you don't get vaccinated, you're going to let this virus continue to percolate in this country and in this world.
Something like the common flu then, right?
And
It's much more serious than the flu.
Well, the flu kills a lot of people annually too.
You know how many people died of the flu the last year? I mean, not this year, virtually none, but the previous year, about 20 to 30,000. You know how many people have died from COVID-19 in the United States? 600,000 Americans.
The number that you all giving that died, that's once again, that's you all's number.
You gonna pass?
Yeah, definitely. Because when you start talking about paying people to get vaccinated, when you start talking about incentivizing things to get people vaccinated, there's something else going on with that.
That's right.
It's something else. It's something else going on.
It is
with
something
that.
going on.
There's
With
something
it.
else.
You're
going
right.
on
But
with
I'm glad millions of people like me and most everybody here didn't get an incentive. You know what their incentive was? Protecting their health and protecting the city.
Well,
but I won't keep you
it's
anymore.
It's okay, because
my
incentive, y'all campaign is about fear. It's about inciting fear in people. You all attack people with fear. That's what this pandemic is. It's a fear. It's fear, this pandemic. That's all it is.
Outstanding. We'll never forget that. To your face. Didn't see that coming, and they run when they realize they're busted.
He got vaccinated, a very, very public press conference.
Yeah, remember that? Oh, Fauci getting vaccinated?
In January of 2020. And then 5 months later, he had, and this is the first time that we knew this from the diary, he had a pulmonary infarction.
No. I wonder if he thought he was getting some saline, but they accidentally gave him the real deal. Huh?
Which is one of the adverse events that NIH, CDC, and FDA said are expected from the vaccine. He never told anybody. He got treated for it privately by the best doctors in America. At the same time, he was telling everybody that that was not an adverse event.
Uh-huh. Look at all the information that keeps coming out.
If you remember early on when it first came, I always said it came from the Wuhan labs. I never changed my tune on that. I think he said something different. He was a much bigger player in the Biden administration. I grew tired of him. He was... You remember that, he wanted to close everything down. I allowed it to be up to the governors, and many of the Republican governors didn't want to close. And being somewhat of a federalist, the federalist theory is let the governors make the decision, and we let them. The blue states were mostly closed, and the red states were open, or they started to open very fast.
Never forget. The information is all coming out. Now, President Trump has put this out. The Massey Massacre in the great Commonwealth of Kentucky has had a really great impact on Senator Rand Paul, who will be running in 2 years. He's been terrific lately, President DJT. Now, I needed to see that because I don't really like to show anything from Rand Paul based off the things that we've noticed from him over the past couple of years. President Trump may be back in Rand Paul's corner, somebody said. Trump credits the crushing primary loss of Thomas Massey in Kentucky. Major positive change in Senator Paul. Trump says Paul has changed for the better since the Massey loss as he prepares for his reelection. Interesting because Rand Paul is going to be a big part of, right? We're watching. Making Fauci continue to spill the information, and hopefully we'll finally see closure to that one of these days. Let's have a little reminder of what he did to us, along with others.
Putting blankets over loved ones so they could hug them safely.
The way through this pandemic is by getting everyone vaccinated.
We've made vaccinations free, safe, and convenient.
Do you know what that is? That is a 20 euro silver coin issued by the Vatican commemorating the COVID-19 vaccine.
Actually? You can't call them stupid. You can't call them silly. Yes, they are. Unvaccinated guy who gobbled horse goo. Rest in peace, Wheezy.
Every panic has an owner.
Adults who have received at least their first dose of the vaccine. And the winner each Wednesday will receive $1 million.
The fear was always for sale.
So that was an ad out for Mind Viruses, America's Irrational Obsessions. Now, let me show you this about a study proved vaccinated children were 500% more ill.
And over the next decade, as more and more patients chose not to vaccinate, I got to see the difference. But I wanted to see, could I prove it? So we got all the data from my practice. We looked at every baby born into my practice and published it in an international journal of public health. What we found, and that study was peer-reviewed, it was robust, we found massive increases. I mean, we're talking 400 to 500% more. Allergies, autoimmune conditions, neurodevelopmental issues, and then we had infections of all kinds. Massively increased in the vaccinated compared to the unvaccinated. What happened when I published that study? Within days of it being available online, I get a call from my attorney. Don't go see any patients. Don't write any prescriptions. Don't go into the office. Your license has been emergently suspended. You are a threat to public health.
What's today?
Today, it is the last time I will be doing clinical medicine in Oregon. Knowing that you guys are keeping it going, the heart of this place lives on.
Never forget. How many times do we have to remind folks? How much research has to be done when we end this madness? Also, on the mad side, California drone captures a man fleeing the scene after starting some more climate change. Yeah, starting a fire and running. James Woods says by the time we are done with criminal coddling Gavin the grifter Newsom, California will be burned to the ground. And folks, we're seeing fires happen all around this earth. People are getting caught. You can find it on social media. Many across this earth are just starting the fires and then they claim climate change. They're probably getting paid some good money because they got to keep that, got to keep the grift going.
Reported countless times on the hundreds of thousands of unaccompanied children who crossed the border during the Biden administration, and then they were released to unvetted sponsors. Well, in this case, the smugglers went right through the Border Patrol checkpoints, pretended to be the parents, and also sedated the children. 2 U.S. citizens here and 2 Mexican nationals who are still wanted are charged right now in this smuggling scheme. Officials say that they smuggled children as young as 5 to 13 years old from Juarez, Mexico into the U.S. between May 2024 and October 2024. Pictures from court documents show the suspects at Border Patrol checkpoints posing as the children's parents by showing fake U.S. documents. The smugglers are accused of using gummies laced with marijuana to sedate these children, and in at least one case, a child was sent to the hospital.
We've seen everything from Benadryl to now these gummies being used to be able to sedate the children. And that way they're less likely to answer questions or provide anything that's going to be inconsistent or contrary to what the smuggler is saying.
So Homeland Security put this out. Child trafficker pleads guilty, working as part of an alien smuggling organization. Diane Guardian drugged and brought children between the ages of 5 and 13 into the nation illegally. Guardian, Guadin is the last name. A lot of this information is continued to pour out, and we got to stay on top of it. Wanted to show you this. President Trump looking at a bill that would eliminate all capital gains tax.
What do you think about this new bill that's going to basically eliminate no capital gains tax on home sales to be able to free up the money? People who've owned a house for a long time can't afford to pay the capital gains.
Yeah, well, we're looking at that, and it could be a very big positive. I don't think for you, because you make so much money, it doesn't matter. But I think it's going to be a great incentive for a lot of people that really need money.
So between that and Jerome Powell stepping down, that could really boost home sales.
So that was put out, quite a bit in the past, but just a reminder that they're looking at these things, and it's positive information. That's why we continue to show you week in, week out from Dr. Kirk Elliott, the information he puts out. Silver has a solid support zone, and precious metals hold key support levels. And just love these updates from Dr. Kirk Elliott. If you guys missed it last Saturday, we had this one. Go check it out, andweknow.com/gold. You can reach out to him before we hit August, because August is supposed to be a big month. And you're looking at those double dips there, folks, the double dips, and it goes skyrocket. Well, we hit the double dips again. It's starting to go up little by little. And we're hoping to see more and more of this in the future. Reach out to them. They'll pray for you also. What a great team and family that we have there. I wanted to show you this again. Dr. Malouf 1960, there were only 20 mosques in America. There shouldn't have been any, period. But in 2026, guess how many we have? 3,150 mosques. This is what an invasion looks like. And we had amazing testimonies from folks that are well known. I think this Schneider, check this out.
Islam and communism.
Yes, well, I'd say what's happening in Texas, from Muslim Brotherhood-linked projects to full-scale Islamic mini-states, is really a failure to our Republican leadership in part. And why is this happening under Republican leadership, and why aren't more people in power treating it like the national security issue that it is?
Well, I think that's a really good question that every Texan needs to ask their elected officials. I think some of it is money. I think they're getting money, and they don't want to rock the boat. And there's votes. I mean, we need to do our job. It's not just pointing to. I mean, we should point to our elected officials who are clearly not doing enough to stop this spread. And it is a dangerous ideology. And they need to worry about protecting Texas Christians and stop the spread of this. But I do think it's we have to do our part. We have to show up and vote. Lauren, we had, in Arizona, we had the Republicans voting in the primary. It was in the 20 percentile. We have evangelicals that don't vote. Millions of them. They're waiting for the rapture. But like, hey, we need you to vote now. We need you to actually participate in the political system. Whereas you have the mosques, you have 93 to 98% of them will show up and vote. Yes. So, I mean, Texas Christians, you got to do your part.
Absolutely.
You got to show up. You got to get involved. You got to go to those town halls, and you got to get involved in local politics. The school board, your local school, the city council, get involved because.
Get involved. Get involved. We have those reminders just about every day. Homeland Security put this out. Temporary protected status is exactly that, temporary. For those with terminated TPS, it's closing time. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. It's not too late to get a $2,600 check and a free flight home. They're reminding folks again. Now, if you guys missed this, it was pretty amazing all over social media. There was a 17-year-old, if you're looking at your screen, who rescued a 10-year-old boy. And he's being recognized. He'll be recognized by President Trump. He announced that he invited the young lifeguard, 16-year-old high schooler, 16, not 17-year-old high schooler named Ryder. He's going to bring him to the White House and give him a high civilian honor for this rescue. Amazing work. And it's very dangerous waters that he's dealing with there. And a lot of folks running out to try to help. He's holding on to that boy for dear life as those waves are crashing in. Ryder's mother said, "I'm blown away by the love, kindness, gratitude, and respect you're sending this way. A few people have asked about a GoFundMe, but honestly, he was just doing the job that he absolutely loves." And I saw a statistic where there's a lot of rescues along that beach in many ways throughout the year. And, so we're getting that one on video, but I'm sure there's a lot more where we could see rescues. And this poor guy's just basically run out of energy. He would have been gone if it wasn't for that rescue. It's phenomenal. Great work. Way to go, Ryder. Now, we saw this from the White House, and they titled it, "Finish the Fight."
Me, please, Mr. President, we're winning too much. We can't take it anymore. We're not used to winning.
For those listening, President Trump is basically being shown there with the Marines, the rallies, a Marine One, and more. Just basically another finish the fight with a great song. And it was posted at 1953 military time. DC Lidstone was all over this. And in that drop, 1953 on the keyboard, what does it show? It says, every battle is won before it's ever fought. Knowledge is power. Also, that music is from Halo. And the commander-in-chief, if you're looking at that, looks like he's wearing Halo battle gear from somebody who generated that on AI. That's good stuff. Oh, I just love seeing our patriots working together to show all of this. Now, I wanted to show you one more thing here from Department of War CTO, and they are letting us know that the enemy will vanish. Enemy will vanish. Not might vanish, will vanish. And of course, they've got a military, picture there, weapon and what have you, but I believe it refers to more than just an enemy on a battlefield with war and military. It's military is the only way, and I believe they're taking out folks that probably never hear about. But in the meantime, as we watch this all play out in the public, we're looking forward to enemies of the people being taken down one day at a time. Okay? Jewelry Blue, I wanted to show you this. Last year, on May 5th, 2025, Trump signed Executive Order 14292 banning federal gain-of-function research. On July 28th, 2026, the day before Anthony Fauci testifies on gain-of-function, the Trump administration announced it has officially banned gain-of-function research. Nothing says we see you like crushing the research and researchers the night before Dr. Death is set to testify on both. And he better run. My hope is he's been there before. He's probably going to scream and yell. We're going to see all kinds of stuff play out. But the enemy of the people, we're watching them get exposed. And many people who still trust this guy hopefully will wake up to what he and others have done to so many people across this earth. We started with Lindsey Graham. We'll end with, again, that quote for Lindsey Graham. He's just really confused with him, right? One day it seemed like he was part of the enemy going against Trump. The next day he's supporting Trump. President Trump would support him, and we're just like, what is up with this guy? Well, all in all, to remember a quote from President Trump through all this, as we go into the next chapter in this battle. Scripture tells us, blessed is the man who remains steadfast under trial, for when he has stood the test, he will receive the crown of life. For 71 years, Lindsey Graham was strong and steadfast as a brother, a senator, a warrior, a patriot. He withstood every last test, every trial. Now, he wears the crown of life in heaven, reunited with his parents and reunited with his Lord. President Donald J. Trump.
For nothing is secret that shall not be made manifest, neither anything hid that shall not be known and come abroad.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come before you now. Thank you for your continued guidance and direction in our life. Thank you for a team that was put together to allow us to see behind the scenes and be communicated with, to go around the media, to finally show us in small ways what we need to see to keep us moving forward as patriots, as anons, as those that you're using to wake up the masses. We ask for your continued guidance in our own lives as we speak to our neighbors and our friends, our family and others. Please give us the clarity of mind, the right time to speak, and the right time to act. We know you're in control. We thank you for this ability on the podcast to share information. We ask that we continue to be protected. We also look forward with all of the continued battles ahead of waking up the people. May we see, hopefully someday, this dangerous political movement, communists, Islam, and more, be removed. Although the enemy will always be around, we know as we're on this earth. We ask that your will be done on this earth as it is in heaven. We bring this before you in the name of Jesus Christ, our Savior. Amen. Thank you so much, folks, for tuning in. Thank you for your time and your prayers. We much needed. We'll continue these updates moving forward. LT, Semper Fi, with them we know. Sign out.
Nothing of consequence happened in this Capitol without Lindsey Graham knowing about it. Nothing of significance happened anywhere in the world without Lindsey Graham having a view on it. And no bill became law in the most exceptional republic in human history without Lindsey Graham having a say in it.
So the bottom line is, I want every American citizen to know you have constitutional rights, but you do not have a constitutional right to collaborate with the enemy. There's a body of law well developed long before 9/11 that understood the difference between basic criminal law and the law of armed conflict. Do you understand those differences?
I do understand that there are different bodies of law, of course, Senator.